Hello everyone, today we are going to be talking about quadratic equation and how to derive a quadratic formula to solve the quadratic equation. So let's make a start. The standard form of quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And we will derive the quadratic formula to find the solution of this quadratic equation using perfect squares. And because we will be using perfect square equations to derive the quadratic formula, it makes sense to compare this quadratic equation with the perfect squares. So we have two perfect squares. A plus b whole square is equal to a squared plus b squared plus 2ab. And the other one is a minus b whole square, which is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2ab. Now our quadratic equation resembles more with a plus b whole square, which is equal to a squared plus b squared plus 2ab. This is because none of the terms in our quadratic equation is negative, and none of the terms in a plus b whole square is negative. So we will use a plus b whole square as a reference equation to derive the quadratic formula. And when we look at the equation a squared plus b squared plus 2ab, we notice that the first term a squared has a coefficient of 1. But in our quadratic equation, ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. The first term for x squared has a coefficient of a. This means that we would have to rearrange our quadratic equation so that the first term has a coefficient of 1. And if you notice, our quadratic equation has the alphabets a and b in it, and the perfect square equation that we are using as a reference also has the alphabets a and b in it. So to avoid any confusion between these two equations, we would replace the alphabets a and b in the perfect square equation with u and v, so that instead of a plus b whole square, we will use u plus v whole square, and the equation will be u plus v whole square is equal to u square plus v square plus 2uv. And remember, we are doing this to avoid confusion because both the quadratic equation and the perfect square equation has the same alphabets, and we do not want any confusion between them. And using u instead of a and v instead of b will avoid this confusion. So now we will rearrange our quadratic equation so that the coefficient of x squared is 1. And to do this, we divide the entire equation by a. So the quadratic equation becomes 1 by a multiplied by start of the bracket ax squared plus bx plus c bracket close. And when we simplify it, a and a cancels out, and we are left with x squared plus bx over a plus c over a is equal to 0. And now we can compare this quadratic equation with the perfect square equation of u squared plus v squared plus 2uv. So x squared is actually u squared. And why is that? Because u is a variable and x is also a variable. And both have the power of square. So we can say that u squared is equal to x squared, which means u is equal to x. And we do not have v squared in our quadratic equation at this point. But what we can do is we can compare bx over a with 2uv. And why are we comparing the term 2uv with bx over a? This is because x is actually u, and in the term 2uv, u is being multiplied by v. And in the term bx over a, we have x, which means that rest of the term, which is b over a, would be part of v. So b over a with some coefficient will be v. So 2uv is equal to bx over a, and we know what the value of u is. The value of u is x, so we replace u with x. So the equation becomes 2xv is equal to b over a x. X and x cancels out, and we are left with 2v is equal to b over a. And simplifying this gives us v is equal to b over 2a. So the value of v is actually b over 2a. So now we have determined the values of u and v. The value of u is x and the value of v is b over 2a. And now we can rearrange our quadratic equation so it resembles u squared plus v squared plus 2uv. So we rewrite our quadratic equation, and we know that u is equal to x, so u squared will be x squared. So we write x squared, and we know that v is equal to b over 2a. but we do not have b over 2a whole square in our quadratic equation. So what we do is we add b over 2a whole square on the left hand side of the equation so that we have both u square plus v square in our quadratic equation. And to keep the equation balanced, we add b over 2a whole square to the right hand side of the equation as well. And then we write bx over a plus c over a, and these two terms are already part of our quadratic equation. So now we have u square plus v square in our quadratic equation. But what about 2uv? Do we have 2uv in our quadratic equation? Well, if you look closely, I think we do have 2uv in our quadratic equation. This term bx over a is actually 2uv. How? Let's find out. Let's write 2 x and b over 2a. So in this, x is equal to u, b over 2a is equal to v. So we have written 2uv. 2 and 2 cancels out, and we are left with x b over a, which can be rearranged to bx over a. So bx over a is actually our 2uv. So now on the left hand side of the equation we have u square plus v square plus 2uv. And to complete the square on the left hand side, we take c over a to the right hand side of the equation. So the equation becomes x squared plus b over 2a whole square plus bx over a is equal to b over 2a whole square minus c over a. So now we can write the left hand side of the equation as x plus b over 2a whole square, and the right hand side of the equation remains b over 2a whole square minus ca. So this is how you actually complete the square of a quadratic equation. And now that we have completed the square on the left hand side of the equation, we will calculate the two values of x. For this, we will take square root of both sides of the equation to get rid of the square. And when we simplify it, we get x plus b over 2a is equal to plus minus square root of b over 2a whole square minus ca. Remember, we add plus minus when we take square root of anything on the right hand side of the equation. And when we open the square for b over 2a on the right hand side of the equation, we get plus minus square root of b square over 4a square minus ca. Upon further simplifying, we get x plus b over 2a is equal to plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 4a square. The square root of 4a square will be 2a, so we simplify the right hand side of the equation and write 2a instead of 4a square and take it out of the square root. And we take b over 2a to the right hand side of the equation. And then the equation becomes x is equal to minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. So in this way, we will get two values of x. One will be minus b plus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a, and the second value will be minus b minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. So this equation that you see over here, which is x is equal to minus b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a, is the quadratic formula. And this formula can be used to calculate the solution of a quadratic equation. And to use this quadratic formula, we would need to know a, b, and c of the quadratic equation. And we will solve a simple problem to further understand this. Let's look at this example. So our quadratic equation is x squared plus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. We will use quadratic formula to find its solution. We know that there will be two solutions because this is a quadratic equation. So we need to find a, b, and c of this quadratic equation so that we can plug in the values of a, b, and c in the quadratic formula. So in this case, a is equal to 1 because the coefficient of x squared is 1, b is equal to 3 because the coefficient of x is 3, and c is equal to minus 4. And why c is equal to minus 4? Because there's a negative sign before 4. If there was a positive sign before 4, c would have been 4. So now that we know the values of a, b, and c, we will plug in the values in the quadratic formula to find the value of x. First we will look at x is equal to minus b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We plug in the values, we get x is equal to minus 3 plus square root of 3 squared minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by minus 4 divided by 2 multiplied by 1. Upon simplifying it, we get x is equal to 2 by 2, which means x is equal to 1. So the first solution of this quadratic equation is x is equal to 1. Now let's find the second solution of this quadratic equation. And we will use x is equal to minus b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We plug in the values, we get minus 3 minus square root of 3 squared minus 4 multiplied by 1 multiplied by minus 4 divided by 2 multiplied by 1. We simplify it, we get x is equal to minus 8 by 2, which is x is equal to minus 4. So this is the second value of x, which is x is equal to minus 4. So now we have obtained both values of x for this quadratic equation, and we can write them as x is equal to 1 and minus 4 within bracket. So this is how you use quadratic formula to find solution of a quadratic equation. I hope this has been helpful. Have a great day. Bye.